So, my name's Brianna. As always, I am here for Black Music Canada, and today we're interviewing
Sade Awele.
Wow. And Sade, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I am an Afro R&B artist, a creative, lover of music, lover of arts, and
Yeah, lover of many things.
Lover of many things.
So, of course, we have to start with just the most general question ever. What inspired your musical journey? Because you've been doing this for quite some time. Yeah.
A lot of things. I think I've always gravitated towards music ever since I was really young. But at that time, I wasn't doing it professionally. It was just more of, this is something that I loved. I used to find myself always memorizing lyrics. It was like a random thing I would do, like in the car. And I guess I also come from a musically oriented family. So my dad exposed us to all sorts of genres of music. And I'd find myself like trying to memorize lyrics, trying to like understand instrumentation. Like I just always found the entire production of the song so captivating. And so that was always a part of my life. And then I probably started singing, I want to say from middle school. And then, was
that for like talent shows?
Yeah, like things like that, like talent shows, little competitions here and there, like nothing too serious. I think as time evolved, I started to find my sound a little more and more and gravitate towards certain sounds. And then at one point I was like, okay, I want to pursue this professionally. And I want to take this more seriously. And then I remember having that conversation with my parents, being like, I really want to take this seriously. This is a big outlet for me, and I really want to pursue this. And and I guess I've been doing that ever since.
And how did they take that conversation? Because I know when it comes to the creative space and the arts, a lot of parents are a little wary about their children pursuing that.
Yeah, they can be very antsy for sure. I think in my case, my parents were actually happy about that.
That's great.
Yeah, I know. I think in the beginning they were like, okay, like we're noticing that Sade is like getting into music.
Yeah,
and,
like it wasn't an entirely new thing. Yeah,
it wasn't a new thing. That they had seen me performing at a few shows, and they knew that, okay, this is something that she loves. So they weren't entirely surprised when I was like, hey, like I want to start putting out music and things like that. For them, I think they just wanted to make sure that I was doing it at my own, that it was a decision that I was making and not necessarily being influenced. And I think,
of course, they always ask.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they were also worried just about like the world at large. Like, oh my gosh, like they felt like I would be overexposed to the world and all these things. And
like on social media,
things
like
on
that.
social media. So they definitely had concerns with that. But then, I think they definitely, because they loved the music so much that I was putting out, I think for them, they were like, you know what? We love this. We support you. Do your thing. Do what makes you happy. So it was definitely sweet, and it was very encouraging for sure.
And you said how music can change a person. How has it changed you over the years?
I would say it's made me definitely more assertive.
Really?
Yeah. I think I can be. Sometimes I can be like very socially awkward. I mean, I'm a lot better now, but I used to be extremely socially awkward and extremely shy.
Really?
I used to hate eye contact. I used to hate like...
How are you singing in middle school? Like, what were those performances like? Honestly, now? Were you just like staring at the ground and while you were like belting your heart out?
I wonder what I was doing. Like, I feel like in those moments, I just felt very invincible. And I just felt like I could do whatever. And I just felt very free to
like once you hit that stage.
Yeah, once I hit that stage, it's all good. I'm like able to do whatever I want to do. It's like, it just gave me this freedom that I couldn't fully express off the stage. Like, and I'm better now. But then back then, I remember the first time that like my cousins and some other people watched me performing on stage. They were like, huh? Like, how is this the same person?
Who is this?
Just so shy and like runs to a
And I bet when you walked off that stage, you're like,
oh yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly. He's like, okay, I'm gonna go sit down now. Yeah, exactly. So I would say it definitely made me more confident over the years. It allowed me to, it just made it easier for me to communicate with people and I found myself more and more doing music, because especially with songwriting, you're writing about yourself, your life, your experiences. So like you're putting yourself out there more and more, and so it just creates this. At some point, you have to kind of not care.
You're almost forced to be assertive, especially when it comes to maybe criticism or even just the audience reaction, because that's like directly to you. This is what I wrote and performed.
Yes, absolutely.
And you have to start like standing up for yourself.
Yeah,
and standing on business.
Standing on business, standing on business, and just being like, you know what?
This is what I meant.
This is what I meant. This is what the music is about. Some people will gravitate to it. Some people won't. Some people will be like, oh, I wish you did it this way. Like you get so many kinds of comments and criticisms, and being able to stay true to your art is such a powerful thing. And so that ends up reflecting in different areas of your life, because it forces you to be more confident.
Okay. So another question. You're from Yoruba and Igbo descent, right? So was that always like obvious in your music, or is that more recent? Is that coming out a lot more now?
That's a good question. Well, I started to learn more about my family history and my family background, like learning about those in my family who were musically oriented before my time, learning about my grandfather on my father's side who used to play the drums, like the talking drums and things like that.
And you said you've incorporated that into your music.
So like learning about my family sort of gave me a deeper connection to my culture. And then as I grew older, I just had a general curiosity about my culture, about my heritage, and I wanted that to reflect in the music that I was writing. Even if it was in little elements, I still wanted that to be a part of it. And then surrounding myself with people who also either wrote in Yoruba,
that's important,
or like wrote in Igbo, and that also started to influence me as well. So I'm like, wow, like if they could be writing in my language so eloquently and so beautifully, like I was really inspired by that, and I wanted to emulate that, like in my own way, and that's how that happens. So it was definitely like an involvement for sure. And honestly, it's funny because it's not always intentional. Like there's certain songs I have, like Elevating, for example, is a song I put out a couple of years ago, and people are like, they're like, oh, this is very Badu-esque of you.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, and it's not even, I wasn't intentionally trying to do that, but because I also love jazz, I grew up on a lot of jazz, so certain flows and cadences that I do,
and they also inspire jazz itself.
Exactly.
So it's like, of course, the sound, like they literally like changed the entire genre. Like
you made it more accessible for people, and so like that's just naturally something that happens.
Do you take it as a compliment, or are you kind of at this point it's like, hey guys, like stop please?
I take it as a compliment, because as long as they're not just saying, oh, you sound like Badu, or oh, you sound like like it's more of like, oh, we can see how they inspire like your music. So I take it as like, okay, compliment, as long as like you can still hear me,
as long as I'm still shining.
As long as you can still say, oh, okay, this is a Sade track kind of thing.
Guys, you have quite the journey. What would you say was the most difficult or challenging part of it?
The most difficult, challenging part of my journey so far. That's a hard one. Oh man, being vulnerable is definitely a difficult one. But actually, yes and no, because it's like I can be vulnerable by myself. I can be vulnerable in the songwriting process. But once that's out, it's like, oh my gosh,
what you have to perform. You're like,
it's like, oh,
this is a little too much.
It's too much. Are people gonna like be like, what's she writing about? What's she talking about? Like that definitely is a tough thing to overcome. And then also overcoming criticisms, like constructive criticisms. I was working with a really great group of people who I would reach out to for feedback. I would reach out to be like, should this make the cut in the EP or no? Like, things like that. And sometimes it's like when people are like, I don't think this one, you can probably.
And it's like
better.
The one thing you secretly wanted to make the cut. And you're like, come on, you like this, right? And they're like,
And they're like, I'm not sure. Maybe try again. Maybe, change this. Maybe incorporate this. So like trying to find that balance between listening to people's opinions versus the moments where you kind of stand your ground.
Do you know when to strike that balance? Like, do you know when to?
Not all the time. Like sometimes it's trial and error for me. So I usually try to just pay attention to my gut. Like I usually try not to rush into any decisions. So if someone gives me some feedback, I take some time to artists and to myself, like take some time to just process everything internally and then make a decision from there. So that's something that I've tried to do over the years, because before I'd be like, yes, okay, you said do this, okay, I'm gonna do this, you said add this, okay, I'm gonna add this, and it's like, okay, what do I want? Like, is that even what I want? So now I'd be like, okay, thank you for the feedback, I'll take some time, I'll listen, and I'll decide from there. So that definitely has been helpful. And then in some ways, I would say, even though the journey, even though I work with a lot of people, it's still a little bit of a lonely journey in a sense. As a solo artist, it's like there's still those moments where, starting a project from scratch and things like that, it's like, it still starts with me kind of thing.
And that's a bit like, it's a lot.
Yes.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
When you have to start everything brand new from scratch, it's like, where do I even begin?
Where do I begin? Yeah. And then there's this feeling of like, how do I up the last thing I did? Like, how do I...
Oh, does that like a big stressor for you?
Sometimes.
Or is it more like, this is such a great challenge that I get to do? Like,
oh man, it starts with stress. Like, I'm just
it starts with stress.
How am I gonna do this? Like, what am I, like, how am I supposed to up this thing? Like, this is the level I've set for myself. Why did I set it that high? So it's like, on one hand, it's cool because people are like, okay, this is how she set the bar. So we're excited to, see what she comes up with next. But
that's the worst thing about setting the bar. Because now I have to surpass the bar.
I have to surpass the bar in some ways, find a new creative way to do something. So then many times I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to take a break. That's my go-to. I'm just gonna take a break.
The best. I feel like that's the best way to do it, though. Instead of just constantly churning things out, like quality over quantity. Let me take a break. Let me think about it, actually.
Yeah, like, let me take a break. Let me process. Let me think about what makes sense. Let me experience the world around me. See if I can get any inspiration from the world around me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then start to build something.
So, what would you say was like the best part of your career so far, or the best part of the creative process in general?
I would say in each one I have favorite moments in each one. Like, for example, songwriting. I love being in the studio. Like, that's one of my favorite moments.
Because you said, like, I used to memorize lyrics. I feel like that would be your favorite part.
That's my favorite part. Like, just like being in the studio, recording and re-recording, and working
that doesn't tire you? You're like, no.
Like, I love it. I mean, obviously there's sometimes that I get exhausted.
But it's the best kind of challenge.
It's like amazing. And it's a very irreplaceable feeling when you get that first mix of the fully
and listen, do you listen to it like all the way through, or are you like, I need to listen?
Oh yeah, all the way through. Like, the moment I get it, I can't help myself. I'm like, okay,
I need to hear all of this, like,
I need
right
this,
now.
like, whether it's on my phone, just like by my ear, like whatever I need to do. Like, most of the time, once I get a mix, I'm like, I listen to it within the first 5 minutes. So
is it like, when it comes to approaching the creative process, you like to take your time, but once you're in it, you're very like, go.
Yes, exactly. I like to take my time because sometimes I might get lyrics first. Sometimes I might get melody first. Sometimes it might be like just different pockets of lyrics and melodies that I kind of combine into one.
Okay.
So it really just depends. I like to take my time, and I like to feel connected to the music that I'm writing and recording.
Of course.
And so,
because you want like the audience to see that, you want people to hear it.
Yes, exactly. I want to feel like, okay, when I'm on that stage, they're like, okay, she's not just singing these random tunes, like she feels connected to these songs, kind of thing. And I want it to resonate. So,
and you like don't stop until you're done. Is that who you are?
Pretty much. Like, I was like, okay, once I'm confident about certain aspects,
you are in the studio with me.
I'm like, we're getting this done. I love doing that because then I can feel really proud about the body of work afterwards.
So do you think, like, with your creative process on this second EP, has it been better than the first EP?
Absolutely, yeah. It's been better, especially because just being more educated, being more exposed to different types of music, learning from a lot of people around me, asking questions, just reminding myself that I'm forever a student in the music life. Being more confident, having more fun in the process, not giving myself a timeline, I think was a big thing. Because initially I was like trying to like get the EP out at a certain time, and I was like, well, I'm just not ready. Like, I need more time.
It was stressing you out.
Exactly. Yeah. So each time I'll tell my sound engineer, I'll be like, I need more time. And after a while, he was just like, you know what? Take the time you need. Like,
take all the time in the world.
Exactly. Like, take all the time. It's more important for you to feel good about this. So that made a huge difference for me, for sure.
So this has been our interview with
Sade Awele.
Yay! I hope you guys loved it as much as I do.